Good evening. Good evening. This is Bridget with Morning Soulshine, and we are just so excited that you're here with us tonight. We have a very, very special night for you tonight in honor of domestic violence, in remembrance of those that passed away of domestic violence. We want to share a story of a survivor, and her name is Yolanda Carter. Yolanda has been on with us prior, but her story is is just horrific. But she's here. She's here to share her story. And for that we are so thankful and we're so grateful. So as we wait for her to come on, I'm going to read some forms of abuse to you. Threats and intimidation, abusing trust, economic control, harassment, sexual abuse, isolation, verbal abuse, and physical abuse. So, guys, what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is a pattern of coercive and controlling behaviors used to gain power and control over another person. Abuse can be verbal, emotional, psychological, financial, sexual, and or physical. So Yolanda is here and we're going to bring her on. I sent her an invite and she'll be on. So, again, we thank you all for being with us tonight. And if you have anybody that you would like us to remember tonight that you've lost a loved one to domestic violence, if you would like to put it in the comments, and that way we can read their names and remember them on tonight. So, thank you. Hi, Yolanda.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I had to take me a nap and I realized I'm like, oh my God, let me get up. It was 6 o'clock and I was just, I think had been so busy, just going that sometimes you need to just take you a
Oh
nap.
yeah. You know what? And I actually been following you and you have been really busy this month. So
Yes, I
tell
have.
us all what you've been doing.
Well, hello everyone. Good evening, everyone. Actually, this is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and my life is busy every year like this.
Hmm.
So starting off this month, I was asked to do a few interviews, radio interviews, 102.3, WVON, standing up. Press conference with the commissioners
Hmm.
and um, oh my God, the list goes on and on. So I have been doing
Yeah.
so many things. I'm like, wow, did I do all this? Every time I look at my Facebook page, I'm like, I've been busy.
Yeah,
I
you
have
have
been
been
busy.
busy. So
And
we know that God allowed you to be here with us because your
absolutely.
story, you know, it wasn't supposed to be. So
Mm.
guys, let me introduce Yolanda to you. So Yolanda Carter, and she's from Chicago, right?
Chicago,
Chicago. And so
Chi-Town.
Yolanda have been with us twice already. Last year she shared her story, and again this year we were just doing a lunch, and she was able to share with us a little bit. And so Yolanda, have you had a chance to share on your page? Can you share the?
Actually, let me see if let me see. Let me see.
You should be able to share.
Okay, yep. I'm getting ready to. Okay, I did.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Yeah, because
Good.
we want your followers to be able to hear your story, and because the story is one that needs to be told over and over again. And the thing with Yolanda's testimony, is just that when you hear her testimony, you would think it was just a normal relationship, just a
Hmm.
regular relationship, but a relationship that turned really violent. And
Yes.
so Yolanda is here with us tonight on Morning Soulshine, and she is going to share her testimony with us. And the good thing about Yolanda is she's a pro at this, so I won't have to ask her questions.
Well, you can dive in and ask me some questions if you like to. It kind of like it gives me a chance to, piggyback on whatever you want to ask
Okay.
me. I'm open to answer any questions, so that'll help me as well. So I'll be like, okay, what am I gonna say? But I think sometimes when you just talk, it just flow anyway. So
Yeah, and I know that about you.
yes,
You
I
and
can get to talking.
Yeah, you and I get to talking, and it's like a conversation. It's not an
Right.
interview; it's a conversation. So, Yolanda,
Absolutely.
you know, help us go back to that time. So, what year was this?
Well, this was March 22nd, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It was on a normal Tuesday morning. I never forget. It was on a Tuesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was just, um, I was asleep. Actually, I was asleep in my bed when this individual took it upon himself and decided that I don't know what told him to do this, what got into his mind. There was never any altercation
Mm-hmm.
um, or anything to lead up to this. I kept trying to figure out, like, what did I do? I'm like trying to blame myself for something that I know that I didn't do, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to go back and like record things and just play it all out and say,
Mm-hmm.
what did I do to cause him to do this to me? So, it took a long
Mm-hmm.
time. It took a while for me to realize that it wasn't me. It was just something within himself. Hurt
Yes.
people hurts people. So I went through the period of depression. I went through the period of the PTSD. I
Mm-hmm.
still have post-traumatic stress also. I can be asleep and all of a sudden it just like boom, the flashback and I'm waking up, my heart beating fast, and I was biting inside my mouth, my gums, and shaking when I wake up, and
Mm-hmm.
I still have nightmares. I still have nightmares, and it just always seemed like somebody was attacking me. I
Mm-hmm.
would, or a friend of mine tell me that if he wakes me up, I'm always on defense, like I've got my hands up, like I'm like, really afraid. So I was like, wow, I didn't know after the years that done passed. It's only been 6 years, and it's just made 6 years, March 22nd,
Mm-hmm.
this year, and it's like every year it gets a little better,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm about to go back and relive it again because I'm about to have another surgery in reminding of the impact on what happened that day.
Okay,
So
so let's go back. Let's go back to, how did you
mhm.
meet this man?
Well, I was at a repast. This I want to say in 2014, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I met him. It was like we locked eyes instantly, and he was the type of guy, tall, um, very charming, and very good looking. And he was the type of guy that was like what he was in a. I'll never forget. He was in a walking suit. He wore a dob this day, and it was like I was like, ooh, okay. So and then I didn't say anything. We didn't say anything to each other as we were in the at the repast. I mean, at the funeral. I seen him at the funeral, but then when we got to the repast, I don't know. We just end up sitting down and just talking,
Mm-hmm.
and never thought that talking was going to lead up to anything. We exchanged numbers, and then we went from there. I want to say the next day we
Mm-hmm.
called each other, and then it was like when we talked to each other, it was just like we talked to each other all day long, all day, all night. It was like, what do somebody have to be talking
Mm-hmm.
about day and night constantly?
Mm-hmm.
How much, and then it was like something was like he kept repeating himself at first, like something wrong with him. But is he getting older? Because he's
Mhm.
11 years older than me.
Okay,
He is
so
11 years older.
was it a red flag that you think back now? Was that a red flag?
I did kind of see that in the beginning, but then I was like, no. But then the next couple of days, I did witness him shutting down, and he would not talk to nobody. Nobody. He stayed in his room in like in a dark place. Like I went to go visit him, but it was something strange. You know, it was really
Mhm.
strange, and I was like. I dismissed it because I'm like, something must be wrong. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with him, but you
Mhm.
know. So it was like a couple of days later, he snapped out of it or whatever. He snapped out of it, and then we went from like ain't nothing ever happened.
Mhm.
He would call me and was like, "Let me cook for you. Come on over after you get off of work." So
Mhm.
yeah, I went. I would go over his house after I get off of work. He would. I mean, very good cook. Very good cook. When I tell you, oh yes, he's very good cook. So I would cook, and then if my car needed any brakes done or
Mhm.
any, I mean, he was a jack of all. He was a jack of uh, what is it?
Of
A
all
jack of
trades.
all trades, right? A jack of all trades, and he did everything. So, I think he won me over by all the great things that he
Mhm.
was able to do for me,
Mhm.
and not only that, he started offering me money. He
Mhm.
started giving me money actually, and it was like on a consistent basis. It was like
Mhm.
there's nothing that I wouldn't even ask, because I'm not that type of person. I have a pride. I don't ask.
Mhm.
I worked every day. I worked
Mhm.
2 jobs. So
Mhm.
I was not the type of person to be asking for anything, even if I wanted it. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
no, no, that's okay. I don't want it. But he was like, no, this is for you. So
Mhm.
I was like, okay. So he, all the good things he was done. And then once I introduced him to my family, that was also a plus because they vibed really good.
Mhm.
He got along with them.
Mhm.
It was my son-in-law, him and him was like buddy buddy. But I seen something. It was around um my birthday. I had invited him to my birthday party. He came to my birthday party, but he got really intoxicated. So
Okay.
I'm like, I said, well, he was drunk, but I said maybe that's just not that. Maybe he was
Mhm.
just. He always tell me he feeling good. I'm
Okay.
feeling good. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, well that maybe he don't do this all the time or whatever. So after that initial party and stuff, we still was
Mhm.
talking and everything. So I invited him out again. We went to another like a little party or whatever, and someone hugged me from my
Mhm.
somebody that I knew.
Mhm.
He instantly got an attitude and was like he shut down and didn't want to talk to me. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, these
Mhm.
are people from the neighborhood. This is what we
Mhm.
do. And he was like, it was just basically stonewalling me all that night. So we end up
Wow.
going to another place. And in my mind, I'm like, why am I sitting here with this man? He ain't talking to me. So, and
Mhm.
plus, I'm the driver. I have the car.
Mhm.
He don't have a car. So I would
Mhm.
have to go pick him up, and he, I would have to pick him up. So I end up picking. It was time to go. So I end up dropping him off, and he end up after I dropped him off, he calls me, and
Mhm.
then he always act like after he don't talk to me or he say something out of the way that disrespectful, it's
Mhm.
just like ain't nothing ever happened. Let's go back like
Mhm.
it's just like normal.
Mhm.
And that was right there was a red flag. I was confused. So another time, me and my cousin needed a TV,
Mhm.
and he had TVs and stuff, had little, he was a very neat, clean type person,
Mhm.
very generous and everything. So he was like, I got a TV for her. So I took her by there and we was in the TV. And mind you, I
Mhm.
was already in a previous relationship.
Mhm.
And, and I'm not saying this is a good thing to do,
Mhm.
because a lot of times this stuff can't catch up with you. So I guess because me and my current boyfriend, we were at the verge of, it wasn't doing too well. We was kind of
Mhm.
like, it was a little wobbly.
Yeah.
So I just end up taking my cousin over there to get the TV. And he had a jealousy spirit, and I
Mm-hmm.
recognize that as well,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't want me to talk to my boyfriend that we were living together, but
Wow.
he didn't want me to talk to him. So he called my phone while I was over there. So once, and I remember this so vividly. We were in the back, like toward the alley.
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed my phone and threw my phone down the alley. I was like, oh my God, why did he do that? And my guy was calling my
Oh
phone.
my
I had to
gosh.
I had to make up all kind of lies and say, I don't know what happened to my phone. It dropped, or I must have lost it. Oh my God. That was another thing he did. Then
So now,
after
was
that,
at this point you were really involved? Yeah.
yes, I was involved with him then at
Mm-hmm.
that time. Yes. But I was still with my guy because we were still on Rocky, but I was still with him. But I was really more so,
Yeah,
I ain't
I know.
perfect. So
Yeah.
don't judge me.
I ain't judging you.
No, I know,
I ain't judging you. You
but
live. You living your life.
I was living. Look, those was my hey. Those was my hey days. We all got some hey days. So, so yes, I was like, okay, well, that happened. I still let it go.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a birthday party. He invited me to a party. It was basically like the police
Mm-hmm.
officers. They have this big party every year. He invited me, and I always took a friend with me. I took a friend with me because just in case he wanted to get a little crazy or whatever. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why I did, but I didn't know because we was having a good time, and it was time for me to leave. Of course, I'm
Mm-hmm.
already home. I got somebody at home. I got to go home. This was already 2:00 in the morning, so I'm like, I got to go. Oh Lord, why did I say I had to go? This man, he got belligerent and, just started talking crazy, threw alcohol on me. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to go. Yolanda, what is wrong with you? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
constantly letting this man? I mean, this stuff is building up, building up. I'm seeing the red flags, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
still dismissing it. I'm still ignoring it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna talk to him. But guess what? He called me later on. He was like, I'm sorry. I just was getting a little bit upset.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want you to leave. So I'm like, okay, he said, how much money? I'm gonna give you some money to get your dress in the cleaners and you can get your hair done or whatever you need. And I'm gonna put some money in your, what, $200 be good enough or whatever. He always, every time he did something bad to me, he
Mm-hmm.
would always pay for it and giving me money back for things that
Mm-hmm.
he would do. And so that happened. The next time he uh he was at my house, he went to the doctor with me. I know, oh my God, this was something that was so bad. This particular day, went to the doctor with me. I picked him up,
Mm-hmm.
and when it was time for me, he was really angry because I wouldn't have intercourse with him,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I told him, I was like, I can't, I don't feel good. Woo, this,
Mm-hmm.
that, and the other. I'm not feeling good. So he was like, I'm going, you woo this. So I'm like, nah, I'm gonna drop you off. It was all of a sudden he started banging on my dashboard. He was getting crazy. I was like, oh my God, this man is crazy.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he did. And then I was like, oh, I just want to hurry up and take him home. I don't know if he's going to try to hit me while we driving.
Mm-hmm.
While I was driving, I didn't know what was going on. That tension was just building and I was
Yeah.
getting a little fear, but I didn't want him to know I was afraid. So I was trying to calm him down, talk to him, be like, I told you, I wasn't feeling good. You should at least, respect that. And I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to, calm the situation down because, when
Mm-hmm.
that tension started building up, you like, oh Lord, I don't know what to do. I just wanted to get him home.
Yeah.
So by the time I got him home, he was like raging and then I dropped him off. Then he was like, after I drove off, I was just like, oh my God, I'm in relief. Dropped him off. He started calling me back to back to back to back to back. That is obsessive. Back to
Yeah.
back. and then leave a message. You hear me calling you? Answer your phone. Answer your phone. And I'm like, dang, what is wrong with this man? Because I ain't used
Wow.
to that kind of stuff.
Now
I have never.
that was all going on in the beginning of the
This was
relationship.
the big. Well, actually, the beginning. Yes, this is the beginning of the relationship. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, man, every time I say I'm done with him, but he
Hmm.
pulled me in every time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I'm gonna make it up to you. I'm getting ready to cook you something, in my, whatever you need or
Hmm.
whatever. And then, mind you, I was a pace driver, so he would drive. I mean, he wouldn't literally drive with me, but he would be in my ear and tell me every direction. He could tell me wherever direction I need to go in, which turns and everything, because he was good like that. So I
Hmm.
would listen to him. I mean, he
Hmm.
would be with me from in the morning. He would work with me every day. He would go to work with me. He would come home with me. I mean, and I didn't think nothing was wrong with it at the time, but
Hmm.
now I know, because I'm educated on that, that that is someone that has controlling.
Yeah.
He wanted to stay on the phone with me all the time. If I hang up, he'll call right back. He just want to be on the phone with me all day long. And I was like, man, I done did my shift with you on the phone. You must got paid with me. But so I just kept on dealing with him, because he was a really good guy. I
Hmm.
mean, beside all the red flags that was
Hmm.
already that I've seen, I still look beyond that. I still
Yeah.
look like I still like, you know what? He not hitting me. He not putting his hands on
Hmm.
me. So I didn't know what the cycle of abuse was at
Yeah.
that point in time, because, like I said, no one is educating people about what the vicious cycles are. All we know is domestic violence is black eyes and bruises. It's a physical
It's
thing.
a yeah.
Don't nobody really know that this is a form of power and control.
And
It
that's
was
what
manipulative.
I was reading that before we started the interview. And so what you've already shared with me was threats and intimidation.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
also did economic control because he was giving you money.
Giving. And he would make me feel
Hmm.
like I'm not filling up my own potential. Like, I mean, if somebody's just constantly giving you, you'll be like, oh, forget it. I ain't got to go to work. I can miss days. This
Yeah.
money gonna be here. So
Yeah.
that's the way I was doing it, because I'm like, I could take off from work. He gonna pay my bill. He gonna do this. He gonna do that. I ain't worried about it. He used
Hmm.
to be mad at me when he'd make money. He would do like jobs on roofs and stuff. He would make at least about $900 or more, just on like a little shingle, doing some shingles or something on somebody's small
Hmm.
roof or something. Then I'll be like, I don't want the money. He would have a fit if I don't take it. He want to give me all of his money all the time. He'll
But
take
he
like $25
but
of
he
it or
knew
something.
that was controlling. That was to control you.
But I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
didn't know at the time. All I thought
Hmm.
was, this man want me to have his money, and he good to me.
Hmm.
I guess he just kind of keep me around. So that kind of like, for the root of all evil is the
Hmm.
love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. So I started realizing, like, dang, something ain't right. So
Hmm.
this was another time I was at my house. This particular time, he was at my house, and he just all of a sudden he kept accusing me of having a man in my house, saying that I had a man in my house. So he called my ex and told him, wake him up at 4 o'clock in the morning, telling him, she was sleeping with another man. And I'm like, where did he get this from?
Oh my gosh.
I said, oh my God,
Oh
now,
my
now he's
gosh.
really, really going there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he really went there. So I'm like, what the heck? What is wrong with this man? So I stopped talking to him. He would call me all days, and he would call me the B's. He would call me H's. He would say, I hope you die. You this, you that. And I'm like, what the heck? What is wrong with this man?
Oh, he was really, really.
He was really, when I tell you, he went there, and I was like, am I afraid of my life? Or I just like, I ain't gonna mess with him. I ain't gonna talk to him no more. And every
Hmm.
time he'll call me, he will call me on very aggressive. And every time he'll call me, I hang up, and he'll just call me and say, you beat it, and I wish you died, and all that. I'm like, dang, man, what's wrong with him?
Well,
So
let's
I blocked him.
while you're talking, we're gonna go through these signs because what you're telling us is an example of what domestic violence is. So
Yeah.
you said threats and intimidation. So
Yes.
threatening to harm the victim, the
Yes.
children, family members, and pets, using physical size to intimidate, shouting, keeping
Yeah.
weapons, and threatening to use them. So we talked about threats and intimidation, abusing trust. That's
Hmm.
another one. Lying, breaking promises, withholding important information, being unfaithful, and being jealous.
He was very jealous. I found out in the
Mm-hmm.
end he was very jealous about my life. He didn't want me to go places, but I already been in the beginning told him, you can ask me, but you will never tell me what to do. I was a line dancer. I had a lot of places. I was already popular before even this incident even happened.
Mm-hmm.
People knew me from all over the place
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So it was just like, um, I would go line dancing every Tuesday or Saturday or
Mm-hmm.
anytime we got to go. You know, if you're a line dance head, oh yeah, you're gonna find a party to go to. And I have a car, so it was no problem to get where
Mm-hmm.
I needed to go. So every time I go somewhere, he would make it his business, and which was I thought it was really good because
Mm-hmm.
a woman should never have to get out of her car and have to be
Mm-hmm.
going walking nowhere. So what he would do every time I go anywhere and I come in at nighttime, he would always tell me to call him. He would come
Mm-hmm.
down and he would park the car, going around the corners, whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
I would go up, and then he would have my food ready. It
Oh
didn't
wow.
matter. Yes, he would have my food ready hot. That's what he always wanted to make sure it was hot and for
Mm-hmm.
me to eat it. And
Mm-hmm.
even if I had guests over, if I ate good, they were gonna eat good. If we had steak, potatoes, salad, whatever, he gonna make sure he gonna feed my. He was very hospitable, very hospitable. And but that drinking, once he started drinking, it was a whole nother monster. And I would tell people like my family, because they thought that stuff
Mm-hmm.
was funny when he started cutting up. So I
Mm-hmm.
told him, I was like, y'all, please, if anybody that was like invite us over, I was like, y'all ain't got no drinks, do y'all? Y'all ain't got no drinks. And they was like, yeah, we all have drinks. I was like, please don't let him see no drinks, because I mean, he would cuss me out or whatever. I'm a man. I'm a grown man. I can woo this, that. And I'm like, well, come on, you don't need to drink this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to calm the thing down. But before this, I stopped talking to him for like maybe a few months. I did. He was sick. He was going around my family house. He was, because he was real cool with my son-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
So, he when this particular day, I was sitting in their front because it was New Year's actually.
Mm-hmm.
I went over there and we just was talking, and he wanted to make sure he gave me. I was sitting in the chair in the front. All of a sudden, he was getting ready. He walked down the stairs to get in his car, and he threw some money on my lap. There we go again.
Okay,
And I'm looking.
let me talk about economic control. Okay, so they can control you by not paying bills, refusing to give the victim money, not letting the victim work, interfering with the victim's job, not allowing the victim to learn a skill, refusing to work and support the family, prohibiting the victim from going to school. But yours was different. He was giving you money.
Giving me, giving me,
Yeah.
giving me. So I'm like, why is he giving me some money? I'm not talking to
Mhm.
this man like that. So all of a sudden, he drove off. Next thing I know, I get a phone call, and he was like, "Did you get that?" I'm like, "Yeah, thank you so much." And I guess because I was like, I
Mhm.
didn't shut him down, that
Yeah.
gave him a door. That opened up the door
So
for
he
more
knew.
conversation.
Yeah, he knew how to
Control
get you.
me.
Yeah, hi Kim. Kim said that's a form of control.
And that's what I know it now, but I didn't know that at the beginning. I'm like, this
Yeah.
man giving me money, and I'm gonna take it because that's just how women think at times,
Mhm.
especially if we don't know no better. Okay, so and I really liked this man. I really did. It was just something about him that I really liked. He reminded me of a public official. If you
Okay.
would look at him, he would look like, because he was that type of man. He'll look with his trench coat on, one of them Dobbs, and he
Mhm.
looked like a really professional person. So you
Mhm.
would think, man, oh man, this man very, very light, fair skinned man,
Mhm.
bald head, very nice looking guy. So I was like, okay. So I gradually started talking back to him, and remind you, it was time for me to get ready to move.
Mhm.
And I knew that, man, if anybody can get the job done, it would be him.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really didn't want to, but I knew, and I really did love him. But I
Mhm.
seen all the craziness and the foolish things that he was doing that was kind of blocking it, because I'm like, man, if he did all that, you said you wanted me to die, and all that stuff, but you would think anybody would listening to this would like, she must be crazy. If a
Well,
person tell you that.
he was telling you he wanted you to die.
He told me, he said, I wish you would die. You need to die, and you a bee, and you this. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was like,
So did you
okay, so
think it
that's
was
why.
that? Did you think it was like him, the alcohol drinking? It's speaking.
I don't, you know what? No, because this was in the daytime. This was in the
Oh, so
daytime.
it
He
was
wouldn't
just
drink like
him.
that in the daytime. Yeah, so I didn't know that once his anger level gets up there, that's what he do. He once he get angry, he'll go there, and he turn red as a beak. Um, so I'm like, okay, I dismissed it. And so that was, then we started
Mhm.
all over. This is the part that when we start all over, after months of being away from him.
Mhm.
So I was just like, okay, we're gonna put that behind us. And I know that I'm getting ready to move and everything. So I
Mhm.
moved in Hyde Park, in one of those luxury apartments in the Hyde
Yeah, I
Park
love
area.
your apartment. I love your apartment.
Yeah, but this is another
Oh, this
relocation right
okay.
here.
Okay.
I had to relocate, yeah, twice already, but it was just that place was out of sight too. And when I tell you, I was in a 5-bedroom duplex, and it was full of stuff with the upstairs, downstairs, because I had, the duplex. I was on the first floor, so you got the first floor and the basement, and
Mhm.
you got, and I had my children was living with me, so every room was filled up with. I mean, they had their
Mhm.
dressers and everything.
Mhm.
He packed up that whole house, but we moved everything in. It took us like 3-4 days to move everything out of that house. But
Wow.
I threw away a lot of stuff. And then like I went to go stay with my mom for like 2 days, because
Mhm.
it was, I didn't want to pay another, month rent,
Yeah.
and I'm out. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna move, and then I'm gonna stay at my mom's house, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and move into the apartment. And yeah, we got that truck. He went and got the biggest truck that we can. And mind you, it was about to be a snowstorm at 8 o'clock that night. So we
Mhm.
had to get to moving early. We had to move early. And by the time it was time for him to end everything, the snow started coming down real heavy. It was coming
So
down.
he
So
made sure that you depended on him for
yes.
money, for help. So he knew that was his way of controlling you.
Yes. And I still didn't know it. That's why I'm saying it's so important for people to hear stories like this, because we don't know. We think that this is normal. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, this man loved me, so he doing all these great things for me. So that was just something that I thought was normal.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now he moved us in. I mean, when I tell you he moved us in, he moved everything in the area where it's supposed to be at. So the next day, it was a house like people thought I lived there for a long time. He had he know how to, he shine up all the glass, where he put all the stuff in the cabinets, everything. He did everything. I didn't have to do nothing but just sit down and watch.
So he was
And
really like a Mr. Jekyll. What is it? Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde, something.
he
Dr.
was, I'm telling you,
Mr.
he was
Jekyll.
that type of guy. He would clean. He was very good. He would clean. He would wash clothes. He would cook. I mean, I did the same thing, but he would do it if I didn't feel like doing it. He would take on and do everything. And talking about, you ain't got to go to no cleaners. He would iron them clothes look like it came from a cleaners. That's how good he was. He was a very, I mean, very neat, clean, good, all around guy. He was. And I'm not going to, just because he did this to me, he still was a good guy. But at the end of the day, there's no excuse for what he did to
Oh
me.
no.
And it's sad how my life almost was gone because of his, I don't know, rage, his jealousy, or whatever it is, whatever telling him to do what he did. So I was like, okay, so I don't know. It was times when he would just get belligerent. He would start drinking. And on Fridays, he would get paid. On every other Friday, he would get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So he would cut on that music, and I'll be like, okay, he in concert. And, I'll be, we'd be Frankie Beverly and Mays and all the good songs, because he was an older guy. So we'd be in there, just he'd be cooking, and we'd be cocktailing and stuff. And I'm not a cocktailer like that. I drink some wine, but he would bring me every pay period. I get roses. Pretty, beautiful, different colors, red. I mean, the ones with all the pretty colors and everything. I had rose. You can go back all the way back to my Facebook page, down the years. All them pretty roses that I had. So he would make sure he brought me some roses
So
and
that's why
whatever.
you were so confused. You were confused on the two different people.
Yep. And he would, I mean, then we'd go out. We'd go to one of my favorite restaurants, and we just sit there, and then don't go if he already drunk, because he got a very like type of voice that you can be afraid of. I mean, but it's not like when I went to court, I was already traumatized. So it's just listening to hear his voice, it even traumatized me even more. So we was like, okay, he was just great. He was always just trying to give me, do all these things. So I was like, okay, so now I'm getting to the point where I'm started watching. I put him out 4 times since I had been at that house. But because of the compassion, I'm sorry, baby. I love you. I have no one. You all I have. I love you. I will never hurt you. And I believed him. I trusted him. So I'm like, okay, I let him back in. We go back to like nothing ever happened. There's never an apology. That's the only apology. That's what he's saying, what he want to say just to get back in. But it's never officially, baby, I'm sorry. I was, whatever I'm going through, I did wrong or whatever. It's never like, own up to your mistakes. And I think because I didn't push him to make him do it, it never got done. So it's like we went on like ain't nothing ever happened.
So
So
did you ever do any background check on him to see if he did this before?
I didn't, and I wish I should. I would have. I wish I would have, because I didn't find out that he had 2 priors until my state's attorney dug it up. But they were only misdemeanors. They weren't anything like mine. They said that he took the case when it came to yours, but those were thrown out. They were misdemeanors. So there was 2 priors, but it was like,
And it was domestic violence.
Yes, they were domestic violence, and I didn't know this because he didn't share that with me, and I kept wondering, like, have anybody ever, he would never really talk about his past. He would always talk about how his family hurt him and how he was the black sheep of the family. When his dad passed away, his dad and his sister passed away in the car with carbon monoxide in their garage. And ever since, his mom and them, they really did, honestly, they did treat him really bad. They were, because he was really light skinned and he was really good looking, and they were all dark, and, they were, they were always tell him, oh, look at him, he think he better than us. Oh, this, like, this, that, and the other. So, and I was like, that's still your family. He said, they always hurt me. They always make me come out of my pocket. Every time they do something to me, I got to pay for everything they do and all that stuff. So he just wanted to stop talking to them. And I was like, well, that's still your family. And he was still, he was not going. He was not going.
He was just so angry with his family. He had a lot of anger.
Yes. He was very angry with his family, and he was like, if my mom died, I would not go to her funeral, and just all kind of craziness. So I said, okay, I would just let stuff pass. So I started just I started like disliking him. It's
Mhm.
times when you with somebody, then all of a sudden you start seeing things, and you're like, you know what, I just want to get away. But I didn't make him feel like that.
Mhm.
I would always stay in the living room. I was always stay in the living room, watch TV, and he would get mad because he was like, "Why you can't come in here with me? Why you can't be in here with me?" But I'm on my Facebook and I'm in
Mhm.
there. I said, "No, because I want to be in there. I don't want to be in there with you. I don't want to
Mhm.
be laying up in the
Mhm.
bed. I want to be up, moving around."
Mhm.
He get off of work. He want to lay, take a shower. He want to wind down, but you wind down and you want to lay in the bed. I want to be on, just up
Yeah.
moving around. So that we did that. We went through that period. We went through the period of
Mhm.
him locking doors on me, not come, letting me come in the bedroom, locking me out the bedroom.
Mhm.
We went through the period of him disrespecting my kids. He picked my
Mhm.
boys up from school because, he was like, these boys ain't gonna amount to nothing. Look at them, they sheltered. You take them to school, you pick them up, and they still ungrateful. They ain't gonna be nothing. And I'm like, my boys came home this particular day. They were so angry. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm listening to my kids, because one thing I can tell you as a parent,
Mhm.
baby, these are my children.
Mhm.
You only here today or tomorrow, but these are mine for the rest of my life.
Amen.
So I addressed it immediately. I didn't let it go. I didn't say, I was not like, oh, I ain't going to say nothing because I don't want him lashing out. I let him know. I said, these right here, I said, I don't know what type of issue you got on. I said, this is my car. If they ready to come home, you bring them home. He wanted to take them every which way, but they wanted to come home. They don't
Mhm.
want to ride around. They've been to school all day. They don't want to ride around with you,
Mhm.
whatever you got to do. They want to come home.
And so at this point, had he physically hit you at this point?
At that point, we was in a heated argument, and I can remember that he was in my face, and I don't know how his fist bust my lip. It happened so fast. I don't know, and I instantly just couldn't believe it. I was in shock
Mhm.
because I'm like, oh my. He was like, I didn't mean to hit you. I didn't mean to hit you. I'm like, how did my lip get bust? So I started believing, like, no, he didn't mean to do it. I started thinking like, okay, well, he's sorry. He didn't mean to do it. Just crazy. And I'm like,
But he
what's
did
going
that
on?
to you. He did that. When
He
he was
did.
calling you all day long, he was grooming you, and he
He
was
did that.
making you your mind. He was playing with your mind at that
He
point.
did. He did a lot of mind games with me. He
Yeah.
did a lot of mind games. He manipulated me. He would tell me, baby, won't you quit your job? And at this point, I was still working before. But then after that, he kept telling me, you gonna quit your job. I got enough money for us. You
Yeah.
okay? You ain't got to worry about nothing.
Yeah, that was
And,
that
and
he
I
was
was
trying
working
to
two
do that.
jobs.
Yeah, that economic control, trying to get you to
And,
quit your
and, it's the,
job.
and the more he kept saying, the more it started sounding good to me. And I'm like, I quit one of my jobs. So I quit the morning job. That's the one that I would have to be up 5 in the morning
Mhm.
every day to be at work at 7 o'clock. So I was like, okay, I'm still gonna work at the one for Department of Family Services.
Mhm.
So I still was working at that one, and that was basically a part time. But I still was.
Mhm.
I made my own timing with that one.
Mhm.
So I end up literally quitting because I was a community living specialist for mentally challenged a
Mhm.
group home with 8 men in the house, because I
Okay.
was med certified. I had to give them meds. I had to do all that good stuff. And I love my guys. I miss them so much. So I was end up, it was times after that, I end up quitting my job because what he did was manipulate me so good that, that money that, I put on the bus every day, that money that,
Mhm.
that money could be in your pocket. So I'm like, dang, he do pay money every day, going, back and forth every day. That bus card costs some money. I can keep that money in my pocket. I just take you to work. You know, he was like, you can just go and take me to work every day. But I didn't realize that that was a trap.
That was a trap.
I didn't realize that at that time he got me, because that means that I said, okay, I'm gonna let you take me. I mean, I'm gonna take you to work every day, and I gotta take my son to school, and
Mm-hmm.
then I gotta pick him up from school,
Mm-hmm.
and then I gotta go pick you up from work, take
Mm-hmm.
you to work, and then pick you up. So that leaves me no room to do whatever Yolanda
Nothing.
wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that means that we coming
He
home
was,
every
yeah,
day
he
all
was, that's
together. We
isolation.
cooking,
Mm-hmm.
we cooking, and I'm in the house. You know where I'm at. You see what I'm doing. So that right there, I was like, dang, I didn't
Yeah.
pay no attention to that, because if one of my girlfriends called, was like, yo, can you go? I could be like, I can't even say yes, because I
Yeah.
got to go pick him up from work. I
It
already
was,
did.
yeah. And that's another form, isolation.
I was
Making it hard for the victim to see friends and family, monitoring phone calls, reading mail, controlling where victim goes, taking victim's car keys, checking mileage on the victim's car, destroying the victim's passport.
Well, he actually he got mad at my daughter. She came over to get a box of Jiffy Mix. Hey sis,
Hi,
um,
Tracy.
a box of Jiffy Mix. He actually cussed her out. Told her, "Don't you come over here and get nothing at your mother's house." He went off on my daughter for that. So my daughter finally told me. I was like, "What is wrong with you? What, you got a problem?"
Mm-hmm.
So I started dissecting everything, and I started putting it all in perspective. And I'm like, you know what? This ain't working. This ain't working. And I started and then it started really getting, every time it was just like escalate more and more
Mm-hmm.
and more, because my feelings was already gone, and I was like, ugh. Every day I see him, it just be like, I think you know how you have an instant frown on your face, like,
Mm-hmm.
you can feel it, but you be like, ugh, I just didn't even want him next to me in the
I can't
bed.
even imagine.
It was like, I was just like, oh my God. But then I would try to play it off. Then I would psych myself up to make myself try to like him. You know what I'm saying? You try to psych yourself up to motivate yourself to go ahead and be like, you know what? I like him. I think I could deal with it. But
Well, you had gave up both of your jobs, right?
I gave up. I still had
You had
the
one.
last job. So
Yeah, so you were dependent on him for income. He had
yes,
isolated you from your friends and family.
yes.
So at
So
this point, you were
he had me
trapped.
on his joint account.
Yeah.
He had me on his joint account. So I was able to watch money go in and out the account, what he would do with it, whatever the case may be. And I started seeing he would use my car. He would go fill my car up every time he get paid. But he would go all the way out to Indiana every time. But then he would take longer than what he's supposed to. He always end up, oh, I'm at the casino, but not he don't know that I can look on the thing, and it can tell me where he been when you taking money out, where the money
Mm-hmm.
is being taken out of.
Yeah.
So he think I'm stupid, and I was like, okay, and I was just laughing like, yeah, I got you. So what I would do after he get like $300 or $400 out of there, and I'm like, oh, he doing something. You ain't at no casino, because it didn't say no casino. It said a address that was at a Chase Bank. So I'm like, he think I'm stupid. So he must be getting this money out. He must be doing something. That's when I discovered. I said, you're doing crackhead moves. You must be getting high. Oh no, I don't get high. My job take drops on my. We did random drops. So I said, maybe you're right, because really, that was right what I was seeing. It was
Mm-hmm.
seeing that he looked like he was apparently using drugs, but I couldn't prove it because he was always normal. He was always, but
Mm-hmm.
what I did realize is that he would eat sweets every day, like cakes, cookies, all kind of stuff. He would take the icing, my icing, thing of icing, and eat the whole thing of icing out the cabinet.
What was
So
that
I didn't.
about?
They said when person was on drugs, used to use drugs, that's kind of like help them to not, be able to
Oh, want the
use.
drugs. Okay.
Yes. So that was right there. So I told him, like, you doing stuff like a crackhead. So what I did do when he got so much money out and I couldn't see what he was doing with it, I said, okay, I'm getting ready to transfer all that money out of that account and I'm putting it in my account because these bills got to be paid.
Yeah.
So I put the rest of the money in my account. So guess what? He ended up having to come home. He couldn't finish doing whatever he was doing because he had no more money. So
So
I took the
so
money out.
when he got home, was he very upset with you?
No, he wasn't upset. And he'll look at like everything. He's like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" And he'd be looking weird. And I'll be like, "What's wrong with you?" And he was like, "Oh, nothing. I'm just tired. I got to go to work." So he would get up, get ready, go to work like that, and everything. And I still like, something ain't right.
That was
But I still,
strange.
right. And I dismissed it. I kept dismissing stuff. And I'm like, why am I keep dismissing this stuff? Why am I letting him just, just go get away with this stuff?
But while
I'm
while
tired
you
of it.
in the situation, you're not thinking that you're in a situation.
I didn't think I was.
No, you
Actually,
just
honestly, I didn't.
living. Yeah.
I didn't. I tell the world, I didn't think that I was living in a domestic abusive relationship. I thought the stuff was normal. We normalize so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, maybe this is what people do. I don't know because I've been in relationships, and the relationship that I've been in, my boyfriends would buy me the cars, buy the
Mm-hmm.
cars, pay the car note, put me on their joint account. So that was like, that wasn't uncommon
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to go through the drug issue and then the alcoholism. So I was like, we had a good time this Sunday. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
came to my house and we had a fun day Sunday, a Sunday fun day. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody, they was drinking, having cocktails. We was eating. It was a potluck that day. And all of a sudden later on this night, I'm like, did anybody give him something? He had been drinking. And I don't know, somebody gave him some marijuana or whatever. He just a whole nother person. So I go in the room and he told me, you know what you said? And I'm like, what? You know what you said? I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? And he was like, all right, that's all right. Okay,
That was
bye.
scary.
And I'm like, what is, but see, I wasn't afraid of him because I would go toe to toe with him and I would get in his, I wouldn't get in his
Yeah.
face, but I would like, if he talking to me crazy, I'm going to talk back to him crazy. Cause I didn't think I had to be afraid of
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
because, I just, he didn't put me in the mindset of him, but I would see him like punching wall. He did punch the wall. You get angry, but he'll go sit down somewhere. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's nothing. He ain't gonna do. And I kept telling people. One of my girlfriends told me, she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yo, the Holy Spirit told me for you to be careful." And I'm like, "Girl, this man love me. I ain't thinking about him. He ain't gonna do nothing to me." That was the first time. Next week later, we got into it. He was locking me out of my bedroom. My son was like, "Ma, you should just put him out." I was like, I ain't thinking about him. He ain't gonna do nothing to me. I ain't worried about him. Then I was getting ready to go line. I was on the phone with my girlfriend. We was getting ready to go line dancing. I was waiting on her to pick me up. He came and got in my face. And I'm like, you need to get the heck out of my face. Get out of my face. And my girlfriend listening to it because he's all in my face. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you need to get the heck out of my face.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even remember what the conversation was about. So she told me, she was like, yo, just be careful. She said, he angry about something about with you. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with him. He just got a problem. So I let that go. So we still living together. We still going through the ups and the downs. We still going through these roller coasters. And then it's some good days. I'm telling you, it was a lot of good days, and there was a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of bad days too. But I guess all the good outweighed the bad. So I just was like pushing it up under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
okay, so maybe like a week later, that's when it started tumbling down. So this was in March. We was in March, and that's when um, this day, like I said, it was a normal day.
Mm-hmm.
It was his payday. I don't know. I think he had an itch. I think he had to scratch it because he had left. He didn't even ask me to take him to work this day. So I was like, oh, he didn't want me to take him. I didn't even offer. So he went on, got himself together. He went to work. I guess he already planned on what he was gonna do
Mm-hmm.
with his money. And you know what, Bridget, I had just got so fed up with him that I just didn't even care. You could spend up all your money if you want to. I don't even care.
Yeah.
I didn't even try to stop it. So he didn't ever come back home that night. And I didn't even, I just would look at the bank account and I was like, it was just dwindling away. And I was like, I'm just done with this whole situation. I don't care no more. I'm just tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just getting ready to like forget it. So the next day there was still that's Saturday then. Saturday came around. There's no call, no show. He didn't even try to call and say nothing. And I didn't even try to call him either because I was like, out of
Mm-hmm.
sight, out of mind. I don't care. This is giving me some peace of mind, some sanity, serenity. So here comes Sunday come around. Lord beholds, I'm getting a call. And I want to say, I think Sunday afternoon or something like that. But I didn't answer the call. I just kept declining his calls, kept declining. What do we got to talk about? There's nothing to talk about. You've
Mm-hmm.
been gone since Sunday. I mean, Friday. There's nothing to talk about. So, excuse me. I felt like, what are we going to talk about? I mean, so he and it ended up kept calling. So I just turned my phone off because I wanted to give me some. But that it was just like a funny feeling that came over me. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I guess I want to say a scary feeling,
Yeah.
but I wasn't afraid. I still just end up going to sleep with peace. I went to sleep with peace, not knowing that I was going to be fighting for my life the next day, that next day after that. So I would have never known that. So I end up going and pick up my son from school. Excuse me. What happened? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I end up going to pick up my son from school this day. This was a Monday, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew that. I said, okay, well, Monday coming around, I'm gonna let him. You know, when he called me, I'm gonna answer the call. So I end up answering the call. I was picking up my son from school at 3 something in the afternoon, and I answered. I said, yes, may I help you? He was like, he's very professional talking. Hello, Miss Carter. How are you today? Are you at home? And I'm like, no, I'm not. So granted that I didn't even know that he was still in the neighborhood. He had
Mm-hmm.
came towards the house and he watched me drop my son off from school. I dropped my son off and allowed him to go in, but I drove off because I was like, I'm going to get us something to eat. And,
Mm-hmm.
where I lived at in Hyde Park, all the restaurants was around us. So I just drove up around the corner basically and get
Mm-hmm.
us something to eat. So I ended up doing that. So once I did that, he's constantly calling me, are you home? But I'm not at home because if you see me, my son
Mm-hmm.
told me. I mean, all this played out after he did what he did to me. I didn't know that he watched me drop him off. I didn't
Oh
know
my
that he knew.
God.
I didn't know he knew my son was in the house. I didn't know that he seen me when I dropped him off, and and I came back. So what I did was when it was time for me to come back, he was calling me again, and I was like, "No, I'm not at home. I don't know what time I'm coming home." I kind of deceived him, so I don't know if he was angry because of that or because I lied to him. I don't know. So I end up coming home, and something told me to park my car around the corner. So I ended up parking my car around the corner. And then I realized that, I'm just walking and paying no attention.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got close to the doorway, he was wedged in the doorway. So he came out on me and I froze like, oh my God, he caught me. So he was like, oh, I thought you was gone. I said, okay, well, I'm here. So he started telling me, oh, the doctor said I'm stressed out. I've been to the ER. They said I'm stressed out and all that. And then to me and my man, I'm like, yeah, you stressed out because you spent up all your money. That I didn't say it to him, but I was
Yeah.
thinking it. So he coming up behind me because he didn't have any keys to my house. I didn't allow the key thing. You don't get
Mm-hmm.
freely come in and out my house because it's too hard to get people out once you want them in. Once you
Yeah.
get them in. So you could come in only when I'm there, or or if you there. That's it. But you don't get no keys made. So I end up talking to him. We didn't really even talk about where you been, because he
Hmm.
looked so crazy and weird when he came back. And I
So do you
knew in
think
my
he was on drugs at that moment?
I knew then. I just looked at him. He just looked so pitiful. He just looked like he just didn't care. And it was like I was talking to a whole nother person. Like I didn't even know who this person was. So he asked me, he's like, "Can I take a shower?" I'm like, "Can you take a shower?" I said, "No." And I really didn't mean no. I didn't mean no. But I did have some clothes packed up towards the back. I did have a big bag of clothes, so a lot of his clothes. I don't know if when he seen those clothes and he was going through the bag, that was like, yeah, she getting ready to try to leave me. She getting ready to put me out.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I'm still right now today. I've been trying to figure out why, but
But
maybe when those clothes.
isn't it the worst time for a woman, or when they try to leave, or
Yes, and I didn't know that. I never was informed about that, because let me remind you, domestic violence was not nothing that we knew of in the home. But I did go through it in my earlier ages. But that back then it was called lovers' core, and it didn't go like that. But this guy, my
hmm
kid's father, was very abusive, and he used to give me bust my nose, pull my hair out by the roots, and give me these stares and take the children away from me. We would go run other places. He come find us, bring us back. So that domestic violence was like, that was not the first time, my first rodeo with it. But
hmm
it was different because the first time it was more physical than the second one. It was more of a I was confused state. Like I didn't know what to think about. I didn't ever think that I was in a domestic violence relationship. I'm
hmm
like, oh, that man good to me. He ain't did, he just went his way, or he just got some issues or whatever. But I'm just trying to play it off and just
yeah.
trying to talk my way out of it. Like, okay, Yolanda, it ain't really that bad.
hmm
And it was really worse than what it was. So he ended up getting a shower that night. He ended up going to wash his
hmm
clothes that night. Then the next thing I know, it was like about 10 o'clock that night when I went in the room. He was sound asleep. He was sound asleep. And I ended up coming back in the living room where I was at. And I was on the phone, laughing, talking, um, and put my feet up on my Facebook. But I was talking on the phone also. So it was 12 o'clock that night. It was time for me to get ready to go to work the next morning. And I knew I had to get in the bed because I had already took my shower and everything. So I did go to bed. I ended up going to sleep. But next thing I know, at 5 a.m. in the morning, I believe it was like 5:30, between 5 and 5:30, I'm hearing shaking me and people, paramedics, and they talking to me. And I'm like waking up, and I'm bleeding out the mouth and the nose. And I'm seeing brains in the bed. I'm looking like, what is this in the bed with me? And I'm telling the people, I said, what happened? My son said, Mama, he beat you with a hammer. And the first thing I said is like, why would somebody do something like this to me? So after the initial shock of listening and hearing and trying to figure out if I'm going to live or if I'm going to die, and I was asking the paramedics in the fire department, I said, please don't let me die. And they told me, they assured me that you're going to live. You're going to be okay. You're talking. And all I remember is that they taken me to one of the nearest hospitals, which was not a trauma center. And because it wasn't a trauma center, there was nothing that they could do for me. I was in too bad of a shape. And they told me that they still tried to work on me, just trying to see if I can see if I had any eyesight, because my skull was already crushed open. It was like, it was just really, it was really bad. And so my daughter came, my son had my daughter, because my baby was only 17 at the time. They wouldn't even let him come to the back. So my son was screaming for my daughter, and they got there right away. And my daughter sent her husband and said, is it bad? And normally he's the type of person that'd be like, no, it ain't that bad. It's okay. But when he came in there, he told her, he said, yes, it's bad. And that's when she broke down. And I can remember that she asking them, why y'all got this cup over my mama's face? Why y'all ain't cleaning her up? They couldn't clean me up because it was a crime scene. So they left me with blood all over me. And they was trying to put this light to see if I had any sight. And I kept saying, no, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. And they kept trying and they kept trying to see if there was anything that they could do to get my sight back. And they said, they told my daughter, they was like, we're going to have to take her eye. And my daughter was like, no, don't take her eye, but let me see if it's okay with my mom. At this point, I was just like, I just want to live. I don't care what y'all do to me. Just let me live. And I had no emotions. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't scared. I just wanted to live. And I said, you know, they asked me, they was like, ma'am, we're going to have to take your eye because it's going to set up infection if we don't take it. And I was like, okay. So when they got me at the, because like I said, they couldn't keep me at the university because it was not a trauma hospital until the next year. So they end up airlifting me to one of the other local trauma hospitals. And that's where they did the emergency surgery. I had staples from here all the way there with staples. I got a metal plate lodged in my skull right now. They had to remove my left eye. I had gashes. I was cut up. I don't know if I was trying to block it. I was asleep. And all I can remember ringing in my head is that I'm hearing them saying, you're snoring. Like it was demonic. Like it was something I never heard before. So I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So when I came to, the next thing I came to, I was in intensive care. And then I'm seeing everybody, my family and everybody coming up. And everybody was just coming from one side and I'm looking on this side and everybody was coming up. And they was like, we're so glad you're here. And I couldn't believe it because this man had been calling my family, kept saying, is she okay?
He
My
was
mom and dad,
calling. He was calling your
he
family.
was calling my family, my parents, and my dad before he can even come. My dad had to take a nap because he was so hurt. You tried to take my daughter away from me. And I was like, why would somebody do something like this to me? But then I said, you know what? I am here. And I want the world to hear my story. Because I know that what happened to me, somebody else needs to hear it. Because I don't want this to happen to nobody else. And it's like, as I was healing, every day it was a new thing. Every day I just prayed and I was like, Lord, you know, I had no emotions. People was coming, they were crying when they come in and I was just so like confused and I was like smiling, just happy to be alive. I was just happy to see people love on me and care for me. So the pain or the shock of all this stuff happened to me. Even also dealing with, I'm going to sleep and then the next thing I'm shaking and I'm hearing like boom in my head and then I see these flutters because, you know, once they remove your eye, it's look like you got like shapes and all these flutters and stuff that's still inside that you looking like, man, do I got an eye? It appear like if you lose a limb or something, it still appear that you got it. But I knew the eye was gone. I was wrapped up like a mummy. But I just knew, I was like, God gave me a second chance. I lay every night in my bed every night with my Bible open every night. And God shielded me. I can't even tell you what the hammer even felt like. I can't even tell you what a hammer even felt like. But all I've just dealt with was the aftermath. So no matter what, I had to rebuild my life. I had to start. I didn't even feel sorry for myself. I didn't want nobody to feel sorry for me. I had to learn how to walk all over again. I couldn't eat food. They had to wire my mouth for 6 months. Well, actually put braces because every bone was broken and shattered on the left side and my teeth. I couldn't even put them down. They had to put braces. That's why my teeth so straight now. I had stitches in the back of my head. And I mean, he just did a job on me. But I am here to tell the
You here?
story. And I am so
Oh
grateful and
God.
honored that God allowed me to have a platform. He gave me pain. He allowed me to go through the pain, to have a purpose, to have power, to know that you could still go through life. You can go through some challenges, but you can still come out on the other side. And no matter what, I still love Yolanda. I had to learn how to love me all over again throughout, even right now to this day. There's times when I be so traumatized. I don't go places. I don't want to go places by myself because of the fear. I was so afraid to be around people. It takes a lot of healing. It takes a long time to heal from this. I would go to court. I couldn't even deal with the courts because it was every time I see him, I'll be looking, and I know he, I'm trying to see that because I'm behind the glass, but I was trying to move so he wouldn't even see me. I kept moving. I was so traumatized. And when they
So
say his
you had
voice,
to be in the court with him?
actually, yes, I had, but what they would have is protective custody people with me. They even had the news media was with me, but they can't bring them big cameras. But the sketcher, he
Mm-hmm.
was in there with me. It was a lot of back and forth. He was playing games with, prolonging everything. And he was very aggressive. And he was just really the person. I said, this is not the person that I knew. He became somebody else. It was like somebody that I didn't even know. So when I got out the hospital, the first thing we had to do was go to 555 West Harrison for the preliminary. And he was a whole monster. He was cussing the people out on the thing, and then the judge, she was really nasty, and she was trying to, my baby, because he had to witness all this. This was very
Yeah.
traumatic for him. It was very hard for him,
Oh my God.
and she gonna tell him, well, what are you doing up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? And he's like, something told me not to go to sleep. If he was asleep, I would not be here.
So
And my baby was asleep.
they were trying to say that he didn't do this to you?
No, they wasn't saying that he didn't do it to me. They knew he had done it to me because he ended up going to turn himself in and told them
Oh,
that
he
he
turned
used to have.
himself in.
Yeah, he ended up turning himself in. But the thing is, they was like, well, why wasn't you sleep on the school night? Stuff like that. And I'm
Thank
like,
God he
what?
wasn't sleeping.
Exactly, because he said that he felt something. He couldn't go to sleep. It was something that he felt. And when he watched this, when he seen me in the bed, he said his soul almost came out of his body because he said he didn't want me to see him crying because he didn't want to see me like that.
Oh my God.
And it hurt him so bad. And my son would stay in rooms, dark places, and just cry. And so it hurt me so bad because he warned me, Mama put him out and I didn't. So every time I think about it, it just hurt even more. I
I'm
just could
so
not.
sorry. I'm so sorry, Yolanda.
Um,
How is he now? How is your
my
son?
son, he's okay, but he don't really like to talk about it because when people really actually see it unfold on the news, they showed everything. They showed the brains, they seen the blood, they seen
Oh my
everything.
gosh.
They
Oh
showed
Lord.
everything, and they told people what the images that you're about to see, they are very graphic. So if you cannot watch them, you need to move yourself from up, turn the channel. But they showed it. They showed everything on the news.
How
They
long did
showed it.
y'all go through the court,
We went
the
through the court
trial?
system 2 years. 2 years. It took 2 years, back and forth, back and forth. I even had an advocate because I ended up going to be at Metropolitan Family Services, and I had a clinician. They had got me an advocate, so I had an advocate. I didn't have to go to the courts no more because it was so traumatized. It was so traumatic, and I just couldn't deal with it. So I end up, letting them come for me. But it was something that it was like out of a horror flick, something that you would read on a Lifetime movie or something. People was like, Yolanda, I couldn't have never imagined because they didn't really think that I went through that because I bounced back so quickly and I pick myself up and I put my makeup on. I would wear eye patch, but I would have this gall because my face started being infected. They had put a face full of metal, and then all of a sudden, after I'm thinking that everything was gonna be well, that's when all the surgery started all over again. All the infection, my whole face was full of infection. They had to remove metal plates different times. Oh my God, it was like, okay, when they thought they had the bad metal out, they even gave me a sinus surgery. I mean, I had surgery on top of surgeries on top of surgery for the last 3, 4, 5 years, 4 years. I had surgeries every year, maybe 2 or 3 every year. And I would just go in like a champ, like nothing happened. And I would bounce back. I would, even after the surgery, I would have my little makeup. If you seen how my face was, every day I would look in that mirror. I said, every day it's gonna heal every day. And I would put my little lipstick, I had to stay in the hospital for 10 days, but I made the best out of it. I was like, man, when am I gonna go home? I was like, please, somebody get me out of hospital, jail. But I tried to have to make light of it, the bad
Yeah.
situation.
I'm so
So
sorry. I'm so sorry.
yeah, so
And Yolanda, that's why we do what we do. So no one else have to go through what you went through.
yeah. I just it was like, this is something that I never imagined. I couldn't tell me that, nobody could tell me that this would have been my life, that would have happened to me, because I'd be like, no, I thought I had it all under control. And a lot of us do. We think that we got it all under
Yeah.
control, that everything is okay. We see the red flags and warning signs, but don't really know what they are because we normalize everything. It becomes normal. I thought that man was just acting crazy with me. And then I was like, okay, well, after he act crazy, I just go back to normal. Like, okay, let's that honeymoon phase again. It was more so, you know, I just was looking forward to him just being back to normal, acting right. Because he was, I think that I just kept saying that he was a good guy, good guy. He ended up being a monster, but to me, he was still a good guy. And I don't know why I kept trying to. A lot of times we defend our abusers, and I found that I was defending him more so than holding him accountable of what he did,
Yeah.
because I still, in my mind, I'm like, maybe if I could talk to him and find out why he did this. I still had a soft spot in my heart that maybe if I talk to him, he need me. But then I started listening to other people like, girl, what's wrong with you? You don't talk to him. He a monster. And people kept saying bad things about him, but I didn't. It was like, I know what he did, but and I'm being transparent because I always wear that mask and I always cover it up and I don't say nothing. But I did go through that phase of wanting to, just,
Well,
you know,
you were trauma bonded. You were trauma bonded to him. So
yeah.
it wasn't real. That was a trauma bond.
And
And
it didn't seem like it
and
was real.
the real person was that person you seen in the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yes.
you say that person, you didn't even know who that was. That
Yes.
was who that's who it was.
I
He was
remember.
wearing a mask. And what
Yeah.
happened was his mask would drop every now and then.
It
And then
did.
he would put it back on.
It did. And I think he couldn't, he didn't want to lose me, so he would cover up his anger and not show me that side of him, which I didn't even know he had that dark side like that.
That was
I seen a
really
little
dark.
of it. I seen a little of it, but I didn't really see the dark because I would be sick. I would have to go through my bronchitis stage and I'd be sick for a while. He would always be there, take me to the hospital. He would nurse me back to health. He did all the amazing things that a man that you'd be like, that's my knight in shining armor. But although we were still going through crazy stuff, but I kind of like tugged everything up, shoved it up under the rug and act like it wasn't existing, because when people would see me, they'll be thinking that me and him was that power couple. They would think that, when we go places, if I'm rusty, if I ain't put no lotion on my hair, be like, come on, get over here. I'm going to lotion your legs. Don't you ever come outside like that, Or, if I'm going to eat, we'd go eat at dinner. He would cut my meat up, and then, a gentleman is always supposed to make his woman walk on the inside. Everything that a man is supposed to do, he did just that. He modeled everything that he was supposed to, and he treated me
And
with utmost respect, dignity, and
it was
respect.
fake.
But
It was all fake. He was a
he did.
monster. Because
Yeah.
how can someone do that to someone?
Yes.
And you were sleeping.
I was asleep. I couldn't
You
defend
were not
myself.
even arguing with him. So you
Nope.
can't say he became rageful because you were arguing with him.
I did not argue with him at all. All I know is I was asleep. I went to bed one way and didn't wake up the same way I went to sleep.
Oh my gosh. So how many years did he get?
They gave him 12 years on the plea deal because, first of all, he's 11 years older than me. And they were saying, well, because of his age, they felt that, 12 years would be sufficient for a man because he'll be 70 some years old when he get off. Yeah.
12 years.
Yeah. So this happened March 22nd, 2016. So we already in the 6th year. So he got 6 more years to go. Yes. 6 more years. So, and I'm just in the process of just rebuilding my life. Books, writing book, just wanting to be on platforms to help others because what happened to me, I never want no one else to ever have to relive my tragic. And it is truly a life-changing experience. You don't feel the same anymore. I'm traumatized, or being with significant others, or you have to be with the same person because you're so afraid that somebody else laying in the bed next to you, maybe they snore too loud and you be jumping. I won't be able to go to sleep. I would have to just stay up all night. So I'm comfort just being alone, just being in my bed alone. Because you don't know what a person to do.
Yeah.
You just you have to watch and pay attention, because I'll be like, oh, this person gonna snap out and do what this person do. You always on eggshells. You always on guard. And then you think everything, and people be like, Yolanda, you uptight. Everything is abuse to you, but everything, I pay attention to the signs and those behaviors that you all are, showing, are exhibiting. Those are signs of abuse. Whether you feel like, oh, my wife don't want me to cut on the heat and I keep the house cold, that's abuse.
Yeah.
That stuff like that is abusive. They feel, that's not abuse. That I just don't want my house hot. No, it ain't that. If you go to work every day and you want to be cold, but you gonna let nobody, you got to walk around in your house with coats on. Who does that?
Yeah. I understand.
So,
well, Yolanda, we're just so thankful that you're still here with us. And guys, Yolanda is an author. So this is your second book?
I have the second book, third. I got 3. Which one did you looking at? Okay, the first one was the one I witnessed, and that was curated because my son, I was left to have one eye, and that's the purple book, and my son being my only eyewitness. The second book is Gone Girl, 31-Day Mask of Devotion, with 23 women. We got together and we wrote inserts in the book, and my insert, which is the chapter, is Beauty for My Ashes. And then I came in collaboration with another group of women and did an anthology, and that is called I Am Healed, Whole, and Free. And I wrote in that book, and it's called Love, Hurt, and Shattered Dreams. So,
so all of those are available on Amazon?
Amazon, yes, you can go on Amazon with the I Am Healed, Whole, and Free. That is one of the Amazon's bestsellers. You can go on Amazon to get that one. The Gone Girl 31-Day Mask of Devotion. You can go on Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, Amazon. It's a couple of more. Yeah, you can go on to get those books as well. So, yes, I'm still in the making of writing more. I'm getting ready to do some more projects with other people. I'll say that later, but God has taken me places. I've been honored by the state's attorney with the Courage Awards. I've
Mm-hmm.
been on Windy City Lives. I done been one of the amazing overcomers for the Bebo Foundation, Beauty In, Beauty Out.
Yeah.
Been on just doing press conferences from Chicago to Springfield to California, flown out to Cali. I was on their TV, they news station. Someone in California wrote a article in their Street Journal magazine. So the list goes on and on. All the accolades, all the honorings that I've been through, all the people that have honored me throughout this whole
Mm-hmm.
journey. I'm just so honored and blessed that, like, God spoke to me while I was laying in that bed. Everything that's good gonna come. It's gonna come. You don't have to go ask nobody. It's gonna come to you. And everything God said, it was just it played out exactly the way God said it was. So I know that God will
Well,
do all things but fail me. And I don't, when I say I got books, I got jewelry, I got stuff, but it's just the support that if you don't get the support, it's just like you don't have it. You don't,
yeah.
your money, I lost everything. I had to
Yeah.
lose my job. I had to lose my car. I had to relocate in home, but I didn't have any no type of resources. I had the resources, but and my man, when they give you the crime victim packages, and I want to talk about that a little bit,
Okay.
because a lot of times when you are going through a lot of trauma, they just throw you this stuff and tell you to figure it out, fill it out, and then they give you only a little time limit to put it in, and if not, you lose. You don't apply.
Mm-hmm.
It don't work for you. So in my mind, I'm like, I thought I gave it to him. I'm all incapacitated, and I
Yeah.
can't remember a lot of stuff. I can't even remember. And I'm like, okay, well, they kept saying, I think they denied me or something. In my mind, I thought they did, but come to find out, we just checked on it, and they just waiting on me to get the paperwork, the expense papers. So
After
I'm
all of
still
this time,
all this time, yes. So I'm telling you,
so
it's been
God
a
has been just
struggle.
taking care of you.
He has been taking care of me through so many amazing people. People have been blessing me. I mean, even with the GoFundMe, with just donations, with people honoring me. People, I do like speaking engagements. People have been really blessing me, and I was just like, that's the only way. I'm disability. I get disability. I don't get no other. I don't have a job. So I'm just like, I'm on the star party. I be like asking people, just give me some stars. I don't want to beg.
Yeah.
I'm not getting ready to be begging nobody for nothing. And it's times when you just feel like, man, sometimes you can make stuff look so good because I look good.
Yeah,
Don't
you
mean
look
that they don't
good.
know
Yeah.
what's really going on behind closed doors, because I don't really share with people what. Oh yeah, I don't have no money. I be every month I gotta call my daughter. I gotta call somebody every month to help
Mhm.
me pay my bills or put money in my cash app or put some money in my bank account so I can get my bills paid. People don't know that side.
Yeah.
I go through a lot. I go through a lot trying to get my bills paid every month. But to God be the glory. God does not allow my lights to be cut off or
Yeah.
nothing to be shut down, because He got me. No matter if
Well,
nobody helps.
well, Yolanda, we really, really appreciate you being here, and we're honored that you took your time out to be with us tonight. And we want to be able to put your Cash App up also, because we want to have people be able to bless you. So once we get finished with the broadcast, we'll go back in and put your Cash App information.
Thank you so much. And
Oh, you're
you know,
such a blessing.
I just thank God for His many blessings, and people, because I've always had a pride, and I never
I
knew
know.
how to accept, knew how to accept stuff from people. When people used to, in the beginning, people was offering me, I'd be like, "Nah, I'm okay, I'm okay." Really, I wasn't okay, but I just had a pride, and
Yeah.
sometimes then the people was like, "Yolanda, you need to stop that." God is, because I was always a giver. I
Mhm.
always allowed people to live with me. People just did all kind of stuff. When they live with
Mhm.
you, they get amnesia. They want to, do all kind of crazy stuff. But
Mhm.
I still it all, because my dad, he always taught us, be good to people.
Yeah.
You always be good to people, no matter what. When they do wrong by you, you still be good to them.
Yeah.
So you have to, and that stuck with me for the rest of my life. So I'm
Well, we
always
love
here
you
for
so
people.
much. We love you so
Thank
much. And
I
thank
love
you
you
so
too,
much.
Bridget. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for the opportunity to be on your platform again. I really, and this time really I was able to really go back and
Yeah,
relive because
because
I,
yeah, we didn't
I
talk
always,
this much the last
right,
time.
we never did because this time I was like really actually going back and when you said go back to how I met, and so that's how I was like, this is the chance I can really put it out there, the
Mm-hmm.
real raw way how it all played out because people only hear a part of it. They don't really
Yeah.
hear the whole thing, what led up or how I was really actually being abused. People think that it was just something like, oh, he just bashed you over the head and that was that. No, it
No.
was like
Yeah,
things just
he had been grooming you and
he was. And I didn't know that. I didn't know
yeah.
what that was. I mean, you couldn't even tell me what grooming, what that man loved me. And you know, we always thinking somebody love you, but we don't know the cycle of abuse. We didn't know, I didn't know nothing about no mental, emotional, verbal, psychological, financial, spiritual, and even sexual abuse. I didn't know nothing about. I'm just thinking that it was just somebody putting their hands on you and beating you up. So I'm like, that's domestic violence. So you couldn't tell me, oh no, I wasn't in no
Yeah.
domestic violence relationship, and I was.
And I really believe this man probably have done something else before because nobody go from 0 to 100 like that.
Yeah, I
And
mean he
some people
and
probably
take a
just
hammer,
I
a hammer
know.
at that. I couldn't even defend myself, Bridget.
You
I
were
couldn't even.
sleeping.
I was asleep in the comfort of my home. That's where I supposed to been, homes asleep. And
Ladies, ladies. Please recognize the red flags. And Yolanda's been talking to us all night about how and what to look for.
yes,
Please. And if you know anyone, or even if it's yourself, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Is there any more you would like to say, Yolanda?
I just want to let you all know that if you are in a domestic violence relationship, know that this is not your fault. Hurt people hurts people. There is some
Mhm.
help and there is hope. You don't have to live in it if you are afraid. There are professional people out there to help navigate and get you to safety. It's safe because leaving by yourself don't always equal safety. It's very dangerous when you are
Mhm.
trying to do it alone. So you have to create a plan. You have to put it in motion, but you have to also get your gather whatever you
Mhm.
can and always just take it out, just move it out for
Mhm.
and just give it, just try to do whatever you got to do to get get yourself out of there without even being hurt or harmed, because your family, one thing I can say is that some family members think about, because this person is so good to you, oh, just stay. He ain't that bad. He making sure you
Mhm.
get your kids going to the best schools, or you living good. No, you can't come live with me because you got a good house. You got it good. But why would you want to come move with me and you got it good like that? But people don't realize you
They
sitting
don't.
at home walking on eggshells. You going through the motions of all this abuse, and sometimes you're just afraid to tell people because you don't want them to
Mhm.
get involved. And if you have a certain type of family, it'll go down. So you'll be trying to keep it up under wraps because you don't
Yeah.
want them to really, you don't want that murder on your hand. You don't want no one to be trying to kill nobody because of something that you was in. So you
Yeah.
will try to keep it under wraps and you will try to cover it up and just make excuses for those bad behaviors. Because I know I did. I made excuses after excuses. Oh yeah, he busted. My lip was busted, but oh, he didn't mean to do it. He didn't mean to do it. I'm okay. Stuff like that. We make excuses for bad behaviors. So remember, guys, if you are in a domestic violence relationship, if it happened to me, it could definitely happen to you. So don't take everything lightly. What you see, don't let them tell you. Even it goes both ways, as we all know. Domestic violence is not just a women's issue.
Mhm.
It's men go through domestic violence as well, and it goes both ways. So always remember, you You are necessary. You have to love yourself. We
Mm-hmm.
have to look beyond the love that a person is telling us, because that's how you become groomed. We trust them and we give them too much of us. And then when they, at the end, be like, oh, and we have to be careful how much
Mm-hmm.
information we give them, because they use it against you. Say, for instance, when you with somebody else before they abuse you. First thing you come, oh, he used to abuse me. He did this to me. He do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So then they start being like, well, if he, it was okay for them to do it. Why now it's a problem when I do it? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be careful what type of information that we share with our significant. And of course, we want to, we all in love in the beginning. We
Mm-hmm.
want to share all this information with you, but we have to also know that love should not ever hurt. So
That's
remember,
right.
love. Let's break the cycle, y'all. Let's break the cycle. Let's break the silence of domestic violence. You're
Amen.
not alone. All right.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, Yolanda, and I love you so much.
I love you too, Bridget. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
Good
guys for
night,
watching
everyone.
Morning
Yes,
Soulshine with Bridget and Yolanda. God bless
yes.
you.